Somebody said they're jinxing.
She can pull it off twice.
It's not you, it's me.
The chair calls to order the Tuesday, October 25th, 2022 Committee of the Whole meeting. If you'll all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Alderman Redpath.
Here.
Alderman Gregory.
Here.
Alderman Williams.
Here.
Alderwoman Purchase.
Here.
Alderman Fulgenzi. Alderwoman DeCenso.
Present.
Alderman McMenamin.
Here by phone.
Thank you. Alderwoman Connolly.
Present.
Alderman Donlin.
Here.
Alderman Hanauer.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, quorum is present.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The chair, pursuant to the Illinois Open Meetings Act, will entertain a motion to allow Alderman McMenamin to participate via phone. Is there a motion?
I move that he be allowed.
Second.
Motion to second. Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Approval of the Tuesday, October 11, 2022 committee meeting minutes. The chair will entertain a
Second.
motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the minutes? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the minutes as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Presentations. I understand this evening there is one presentation pertaining to the land bank. Mr. Mayor, who is joining us this evening?
Surprise, surprise.
If you would please identify yourself.
Good evening, everyone. For those of you who I have not had the pleasure to meet yet, my name is Katia McMasters, and I am Assistant Corporation Counsel here with the city. Specifically, I'm the supervisor of the city's code enforcement division. So, as I understand it, you guys had some questions about the land bank ordinance that was proposed, and I am here to hopefully help answer a lot of those questions or any other additional questions that you guys may have. So just to kind of start out then, some of this we may have already covered, but it's been a couple weeks, so some of it is just going to be a refresher. Starting out with, what is a land bank? Well, unfortunately, I don't have the best answer to that because Illinois law does not actually define what a land bank is. Some other states do, but again, unfortunately, Illinois does not. The name bank is also a little bit of a misnomer. It is not actually a bank as we consider it with money, but a way to look at it is kind of like a savings account that you're putting your assets, in this case the property, into a centralized location to better manage them, grow them, and create a more meaningful impact. Another way to essentially state it is that a land bank is an entity that holds and sells property essentially for the purpose of revitalizing a defined geographic area. To kind of give you guys some examples, our closest example is the city of Peoria. They're getting picked on 2 weeks in a row, I feel like. Peoria is actually a municipal-run land bank. It is a division of what is their equivalent of our Office of Planning and Economic Development. Perhaps the biggest difference between the proposed ordinance and the one under the city of Peoria is that they, as most of you probably know, are a city manager form of government. And their ordinance gives a lot of very strong powers to the city manager as the chairman of the board of their land bank. So that obviously is not going to equate or translate very well here to the city of Springfield. Another example is the Cook County Land Bank Authority that is also a county-run or essentially unit of local government-run land bank. The primary difference is that it is not just Cook County itself. There are municipalities within Cook County that participate in that land bank primarily through intergovernmental agreements. The last example is also fairly close to home. It is the Central Illinois Land Bank Authority. That compromises Champaign County, Vermilion County, Macon County, and municipalities within those counties that also participate. It's what they call a regional land bank. This is also a prime example of one that is operated essentially as a non-for-profit entity. This is the most common structure of a land bank, but it is obviously not the only structure. It is the most common because it allows multiple entities to participate all at the same time. However, the non-for-profit ones tend to be the most complex because it is a non-for-profit. You have to incorporate with the Secretary of State, draft bylaws. As I said, there are intergovernmental agreements that are required. You also have to, most of them, hire someone that has actual experience running a land bank that operates as the director of that land bank. Some do have supporting employees, some run with volunteers. There's obviously funding issues and property maintenance issues, so that is why it is so complex, but it also highlights the benefits as to why our ordinance is proposed that it be municipal run, because the proposed ordinance covers a lot of the things that it eliminates rather a lot of the complexities that exist with the non-for-profits. Also in red there, I highlighted it in red because one of the biggest challenges that non-for-profits face is that land banks that are non-for-profit run are rarely self-sustaining. And what I mean by that is the revenue that they receive from selling the properties out of the land bank are often not enough to support the expenditures and functions of the land bank itself. They primarily operate through a combination of public funds, private funds, and grants. Again, we feel that this is kind of a benefit to municipal run because the public aspect of it will already be there. Grants are also available to us as a public entity as well. So aside from that, I mean, we'll talk more about the proposed ordinance later, but I know that there were also a lot of questions about how our current process runs, and I think that will translate into the proposed ordinance here in a bit. Primarily, the way that the city has acquired the properties that we have title to now were primarily through the county tax sale. We have a great relationship with the county trustee. When those lots are going up for auction, they kind of give us a first dibs, if you will, at buying those properties at a very discounted rate before they go up to the public auction. Kind of the next category, several we acquired through demolition and other lien foreclosure proceedings. There are some other municipal ones, but those, miscellaneous ones, but those first two are the primary. And those acquisition sites are primarily handled by us in Corporation Counsel's office. Acquiring properties through these first two mechanisms ensures that we, as the city, when we get title to them, it's clear title. There's no other liens and encumbrances. Those legal processes wipe the slate clean of mortgages, back due taxes, other liens that may exist on the property. This is often a big struggle with the non-for-profit style because it is a challenge to be able to do stuff like that, to clear those encumbrances that is rather unique to us as the city and our ability to do that through state statute. When we attended the conference that Mayor alluded to, the land bank authorities that talked to us there said, any land bank, it is essential that code enforcement and legal have a good relationship with the land bank authority under the non-for-profit style for those similar reasons. Now, at this time, we are not really looking to acquire any more property because, as you all know, we have a lot as it is. There may be some kind of unique case-by-case circumstances that we will have to examine, and obviously that goes through you guys as well, but we're not looking to acquire an overabundance again at this time. Property sales. Right now, those are primarily done through OBM and our purchasing director, again, through the RFP process. That is currently the only mechanism that we utilize to sell off these properties. There's one bullet point, but it's much more complicated than that, and I will get into that in this next slide. This kind of is a brief overview of what the different departments do here at the city that all go into this land acquiring and sale process. I'm going to focus kind of on the bottom, purchasing. As I said, they are a big administrative role right now. When the city acquires property, they put that information into our CityWorks database. They draft the ordinances to declare them surplus so that we can then get them sold. Once they're declared surplus, more information has to be put through CityWorks. Then the RFP has to be drafted. Then as people bid, those bids have to be reviewed, and it kind of goes on and on. This is a big function of, again, our sale and acquisition. I did put our Office of Planning and Economic Development at the bottom, and it's in red, not because they're doing anything wrong. Just wanted to highlight it that their role currently is that they are also involved in the property acquisition. When we get that big list from the county trustee, we go through it with our friends in OPED, and they specifically look at that list to identify clusters of property so that we can make those properties more attractive to potential buyers. It's not just the one small skinny lot. You've got 2, 3, 4 lots together that can be bigger, have a yard, things like that. They are also, of course, involved in our grants process through our wonderful grants coordinator. The reason that I highlighted it in red is that a lot of the functions that are under purchasing previously were a function of OPED. It's also in red because the primary purpose of the ordinance, I shouldn't say purpose, one of the primary changes with the ordinance is to shift a lot of those responsibilities back down to OPED. Our purchasing director is incredibly talented and she's wonderful, but she is only one person. She does it all and she needs help. Kind of going into a little bit more about our current properties. We currently own around 382 properties. I put an asterisk because we have sold some recently, so that number has gone down a little bit. And on average, we sell between 20 and 30 a year. Most of those are vacant lots, which is very common for land banks. Again, the conference we went to said most land banks, 80% of their inventory is vacant lots, so it's very common. And that is also the driving factor behind the proposed ordinances. As many of you have asked and said, we need to start getting rid of some of these. Obviously, only getting rid of 20 to 30 a year is not putting a significant dent in this. So we're trying to do something to help us unload our current inventory so we can start having those lots be more productive. We also have our Bloomberg Harvard fellow that is here for 2 years that is helping us with this. As you may recall, we had one last year, but she was here for a much shorter period of time, and that was one of the recommendations that she gave the city as well, was to establish a land bank. We've also been talking with the general counsel for the Center for Community Progress, who has helped with numerous land banks, and he is an incredible resource that we have available to us as we continue on this venture. And essentially, the ordinance is really to give a framework to the city to help us with this effort of how do we start reducing our inventory and bringing these properties back to life. I know you've all seen the ordinance, but just to kind of highlight, the proposed ordinance establishes our land bank as well as the purpose and duties as a function of our Office of Planning and Economic Development. Again, it's shifting a lot of the purchasing department's responsibilities back to OPED, which would include the property inventory, tracking the sale of those properties, the database entry, and kind of the day-to-day oversight, which can include even fielding phone calls. That Amanda does field a lot of phone calls. This also builds upon the current purpose and duties of our Housing Policy Advisory Council. The Housing Council would essentially serve what would equate to the board of directors if it were the non-for-profit style. They would recommend ways and methods to dispose of these lots, make recommendations to OPED, and in turn the city council for acquisition and disposal of properties. The ordinance is when you look at it compared to ones like Peoria and Cook County, it is very slim, but that is intentional. A lot of what those ordinances contain and a lot of what the non-for-profit bylaws contain are already built into our city code and Illinois statutes. So a lot of them were kind of unnecessary because it already exists within our government structure. What the intent of this is, again, the Housing Policy Advisory Council operates as the board of directors. As you can see, that as many of you probably know, there are currently 8 persons that are on that board, and they are essentially comprised of community experts and residents to, again, help us figure out the best way to do this. Mayor has informed me that it is currently full and there are no vacancies. We have not, or not we, they rather have not had a meeting yet, but as this adventure continues forward, they will. The main goal, again, is to improve the strategies for disposing of city-owned lots. Nate, you're welcome for this, but when Amanda puts all of the data into CityWorks, it has, I'm sure you've heard of all the wonderful capabilities of CityWorks, and this is just another one of them. When we put all of our inventory into CityWorks that we have now, it can generate a map and show us where all of these lots exist. We need a more focused approach on how to get rid of these lots. And again, Amanda deals with a lot, and I'm sure she could do this, but in addition to all of her other job duties, we need help. And we need someone to really look at that map and dissect it. Where are most of our lots concentrated? How do we get rid of these? What's the best way to get rid of these? And like I said, CityWorks has all of that, but we need somebody to take it, sit down, and analyze it. And most of the other functions of the other departments are not really going to change. Amanda is still going to be involved from the sense of the RFP process. Legal is still going to have to be involved for the acquisition and sale and closing process. Public Works, of course, is going to have to be involved for the maintenance, demolition, writing citations for some of these lots that are starting to get out of control. All of those functions are really going to remain the same. The biggest benefit to this land bank ordinance is down at the bottom. Initially, I don't think a lot is going to change except for the administrative functions. But this land bank has the ability to grow and be something incredible. It has the potential to create a very targeted approach into the areas of our city that have the most need. And it has the ability, again, as this grows and we decrease our existing inventory, to potentially start grabbing other properties while they're still in somewhat decent shape before it's a vacant lot and before we tear them down. So again, right now our focus is going to be reducing our inventory, but once we can accomplish that, this has the ability to do so much more. And that's all I have for now, and to the extent that you guys have any questions, I am happy to answer them, or try to at least.
Thank you for that information. I think it's very clear from past discussions and this discussion that the goal is to obviously get as many of these properties off of or back on the tax rolls and productive again. I just have a quick question. It's more of a, I don't know, you talked about basically codifying what the specific duties of a particular department, planning and economic development, would be with this ordinance.
Yes.
Does the city code presently mention what the functions of the Office of Planning and, Office of Budget Management are pertaining to these activities?
Pursuant to these specific activities, no.
Okay, then why is an ordinance needed?
I think, again, to create kind of this more formalized structure, because like I said, it's kind of been passed back and forth between the different departments because it has not been codified. So I think that this, again, creates the beginnings of this framework in this structure of how this land bank is going to operate and how we can, again, start having a focused ability to start reducing our inventory on these lots.
I'm just wondering out loud, which is always dangerous, but it would seem that if another 2 words were utilized rather than land bank, maybe there wouldn't be so much controversial interest in this, because what I hear you saying is the city has a process in place now. We acquire properties. It's been well documented how we do that. But what you're trying to do is to provide a board and commission involvement to have some insight and guidance for the council so that when we make decisions on disposing of property, as an example, or even acquiring, that we have some, I'd just say, guidance from that commission. And but I still struggle with, why we need an ordinance. I appreciate the part about wanting to define a purpose and the involvement, but the getting down to the nitty-gritty details of what department does what, that's kind of up to the administration to decide, isn't it?
I mean, I
And
certainly,
Mayor, I appreciate the wanting to run it by us and talk to us about it. I think that's a great idea, but I'm just thinking out loud, which sometimes is dangerous.
certainly, and I'm just here to help provide information, obviously. I leave that decision up to you folks as to whether, a name change, again, the land bank is just kind of the common name that's given to structures of this type. I personally don't care what it's called.
Okay, we have a great number of council persons that are interested in speaking. We're going to begin with Alderman Redpath.
Thank you for the presentation. I guess one of my questions was answered. I guess one of my questions was answered on why we're doing this. I understand you want to make a collaborative effort to bring everything together. But we are, again, after what Alderman Donlin just said, we are doing this currently. I think my question is probably for Amanda, because I'm talking about what are the parameters that we're putting on the sale of these properties, or why. I know Enos Park, when they had these properties, they put so many stipulations on how they could sell them for what reasons, and that's why they couldn't sell them. So are we putting stimulations or restrictions on what they can do with the property?
So the current RFP process does have an evaluation criteria, and we're predominantly looking at 3 different things. We're looking at what is the intended purpose? What are you going to do with the property? How much are you willing to pay for it? And are you the adjacent property owner? And I think a lot of that stems from, quite frankly, how we acquire these properties. You've got structures on them that become blighted, that are in bad condition. We ultimately use taxpayer resources to demolish those, and then they subsequently become a part of what we have to maintain. And so when you look at that, you want to try to mitigate, right, who you sell it to down the line. So we're trying to prevent, people from perhaps outside the city, and more look at internally people that want to invest in their community. And I can tell you, I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole, but there's been a lot of success in that. I do field a lot of phone calls. I do take a lot of applications. I can speak specifically to Ward 6 in the last 3 months.
That's right.
626 South Glenwood is a perfect example of that. And we're going to see some major positive change in that area, and the neighbors are very excited about it. They were coming out of the woodworks during inspection time.
And it only took 7 years.
Yeah, yes, but it got done. So, and 1525 South 7th is another prime example. You've got a neighbor who was, quite frankly, distraught and upset over some illegal dumping, some homeless squatting, some criminal damage type situations. A resident for 17 years in our city wanted to buy that lot. Now she's getting a permit to put in a fence and, again, create positive change in a community that she's invested in. So I think that's kind of.
And we're all for that, Amanda. I don't argue that, but, the reason we ended up with the Enos Park ones is because of the stipulations they put on theirs. And I do know people that are coming forward trying to pick up these properties, but to maybe put another house on or something like that. But, and I don't know how that process is working. The bottom line is that we don't want to be in the land business. That's not the business of city government. We've been thrust into this by the amount of properties that we have, and that's got to change. I mean, I'm ready to give them away if we can find people who'll take them.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I certainly understand your position on that. But, I think Mr. Zirkle made a great point a couple of weeks back at council when he alluded to the fact that we have an intimate relationship with the county. It's very difficult to get away from some of these lots, whether we like it or whether we don't. And I think the land bank, if you want to term it as that, is more than just an administrative function. It does allow for other opportunities for us. It makes sense that it would be housed in economic development. You've got the opportunity for grants. You've got the opportunity for funding options. We have a revenue source, the sale of city property. That is a revenue, and that money goes directly into that revenue stream.
Yeah, but
and so that could be potentially a part of this initiative.
Yeah, but we don't need to be talking about getting bigger and better in the land bank.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there is a revenue string that already exists. And it could serve as that. I think Katia had said this, and I would say this too. Again, it comes back to strategizing as well. You've got an advisory council, you've got more of a succinct process in place versus all these different departments moving in all these different directions. Right. And there's a little bit of frankly, siloing going on because we're all so busy and we've all got a lot going on. And so when you have a council come together and they can then weigh in on these types of things, I really think it would serve a purpose. I can't, I'm not the land bank expert by any stretch of the imagination, so I don't, wouldn't get into the nonprofit and what works and what necessarily doesn't, but I certainly think that this is practical and makes sense. And we should
I
move.
understand the nonprofit thing, that's not feasible because you gotta have a revenue source and they just don't have the avenues to do that. I just want out of the land business. It's a disaster for us with the main maintenance and everything we have to put up with it. And then it seems like we're creating stuff that's just making it more, with more red tape, and we just need to get away from that.
Yeah, and being a part of this process now for the last 3 years and dealing with it, I am certainly open to the council's solutions to it as well.
Thank you.
Alderman Williams.
Yeah, so one of the solutions to me is something similar, whatever you call it or whatever, the process has to get better. There's a couple questions that come to mind out of the 382? And then there was a map mentioned, but there is a list that exists that breaks it down by wards with addresses so we know how many and where they're at in our wards. And then secondly, it's the maintenance until sold that I get involved in this area. And what I mean by maintenance to get, so I'm not even talking just what we're talking, even the privates, but let's just deal with what we got. So when I looked into this, and we're talking about wanting to sell them, we got to have them maintained and looking good so somebody's interested. And then we probably can get rid of them, because to me, a clear sight of view is the best way. All the trees, all the old fencing, all that's just a clear park look like lot is attractive to and may get somebody interested in that area. We don't have that, at least not over in my ward. I have a lot of tore down and then like natural growth. And it's ugly and it's like an eyesore. And I'm hoping something like this is the beginning of a process to fix it. And because I believe once it fixed, I agree with Alderman Redpath. I think we can sell them. Hanauer has mentioned this many times, and then they'll be gone. And I don't want to put a lot of stipulation on them, but I know the citizens who don't have the lots, who don't own them, are very frustrated. And this is that process that you're talking about. Everybody, when I looked into it, everybody was working hard, but everybody was overwhelmed. Everybody was kind of busy, and different things. And there's so many rules. An example I can give you, so we know that's a lot. But unless somebody in my neighborhood calls me and says, Alderman, that lot is a city lot and it needs to be cut. Why isn't it on a regular schedule? So then Darrell has to take me through all that they do to prove to me that, hey, we at work every day trying to keep up. This could create something of a process to where they're all cut X amount of times, a month or a year or whatever. I mean, I'm not the expert either, but I do like this as a starting point.
I appreciate your perspective a lot, and I also take a lot of those calls, and I certainly address those with Public Works when they come about. And another example of that, and matter of fact, it was in your ward, lady called, and sometimes too, let me just say, these are not, every single vacant lot in the city of Springfield is not city-owned.
Yeah, right, sure.
And I want to be clear about that, because I also take a lot of phone calls where somebody calls and they're upset. But the reality is when I get the address and look it up, it's not even city-owned. Mm-hmm. So this is not always, falling on the city, although I agree with you in the maintenance component, but I will say that we do competitively and formally bid every year to get contractors through the door to maintain those lots. And Darrell, if he's here, I don't know if he's here, but he could certainly speak to that as well. And I don't know the operational side of that part because that's Public Works, but I do understand where you're coming from. I do field a lot of those similar calls, so thank you for your perspective on that.
Anything else, Alderman Williams?
I'm finished. Thank you.
Alderwoman DeCenzo.
Thank you, Chairman. Okay. Effectively, we already have a land bank. We just don't call it that.
Right.
Correct. So I completely agree with Alderman Donlin that we already have this, and we're just calling it a different name and changing the process a little bit, which does not require ordinance. This can be done at the mayor's discretion. It's an executive decision, it's not a legislative decision. And I'm just a little confused as to why this is really coming before us. I agree, I like the information, I like the transparency, but we're already doing this. So if you want to change the process of how it's done, that's easy. You just change the process of how it's done internally. You can do that. We do that all the time in government. But I do want to know, how many staff do we have in OPED right now?
I don't know exactly.
I don't know either. That's why I'm asking.
I can tell you in purchasing, we have 3.
Okay.
Which is less than economic development, but I also think that it makes sense for it to really be over there because of the funding opportunities that they have, because a lot of these vacant lots fall within TIF districts. There's opportunities there that they could take a deeper dive in than, to me, just taking it on a case-by-case application basis.
Okay. And then this was before your time, but I worked with someone also on South 8th Street that had an adjacent lot. They were willing to buy it for $500. They wanted it just as an, addition to their property. It took 2 years to get that done. 2 years. I mean, I was begging, and again, before your time, begging for these people to buy this property for $500.
Right, and I appreciate that you say it's before my time, because I really do try to be as efficient and effective as I can with this, in addition to, obviously, other job responsibilities that are clear.
And to answer your question, there's about 9 people currently.
There's 9 people currently in OPED? I did not know that. Thank you.
Anything else, Alderwoman?
Nope, that's it.
Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you, Chair. I guess my question again, thank you for the presentation. Amanda, thank you for everything you do. I know you're very busy. My question, I guess, probably is more for Mayor Langfelder. Is there a plan to add staff to manage this?
Yeah, actually, right now, we'd operate within. I think the key component of this, we'll use Enos Park as an example. There's been actually 2 failed, if you want to call them, a bank of inventory of lots, or a land bank, however you want to call it. One was TSP Hope. That's the Springfield project. They couldn't take care of their lots. It was going to go to the tax sale. I think we bought 100 of those lots, or over 100.
Yeah.
And then most recently, Enos Park, which everybody's aware of, and those were nonprofit entities that try to make it work, and it couldn't work. So why should the city be in the land bank business? So we're already in there, as Haldeman understand. And I'll ask Said to come up and provide her expertise, because she's the one in touch with the Center for Community Resources. But they have said the land banks, the non-for-profits, the reason they don't make it or don't excel is because they don't have the resources, and the resources come from city government. We're doing it right now. We're cutting the grass, we're doing the work, and moving that direction. What this does is codify in code, and we did meet with Colin Cisco. We appreciate being here, and Kathy Nicholson from the Realtors. Most importantly, the prioritization. So this is the first step, really, to, why put it in code? To prioritize for the city council, for all of us, because if you look in city code, there's no land bank. So no land bank, no funding resources. So that's what we're trying to get to, is that process, and we will be coming with an amendment to change kind of the parameter of it based on our discussion with the Realtors. But with regards to that, we would take a look at how we can use our current resources. But in answer to economic development, there's 2 grant writers, there's 2 inspectors, there's administrative assistant for community development block grant funds, and the lead grant that we received. They're overseeing, I think, $5 million or so of grants. And then you have Ravi Doshi that does the TIF enterprise zone, and then they recently made an offer to somebody else to work in that realm, and then of course Lynn Wooden. And then you do have the finance person, but that's technically a Office of Budget Management person.
So, I'm still struggling with why this is an issue for council. To me, it feels very administrative and completely within your realm, Mayor. I guess my question is kind of following up on that. If we're not planning on adding another person specifically for this, but you did just mention funding, so are we looking to increase the budget for OPED to allow for more purchasing, or are you looking at that as a grant focus only?
Well, as we all know, the budget is coming forward, so we'll take a look at the budget and see what the needs are. But what we've done with OPED is realign everybody. So before you had a person just on TIF, a person just with enterprise and different factions, what we did is have a cross-section of expertise. So that's what we take a look at with regards to Office of Planning and Economic Development, how to make sure that, one, is there a true need that this would take on full-time, or how do we have the resources to manage it? But again, this is, we already have it in our lap. You know, the land's already in our lap, so how best can we move it forward in a positive direction? Because, you know, everybody says, get rid of it, get rid of it. No, we want to redevelop these properties in the best possible manner. And so we'll go back to Enos Park, not to pick on Enos Park, but they've worked the model as successfully as anybody has in the nonprofit world. But right now, we're going through a planning process with downtown and the medical area in Enos Park with the planning process. So what we're going to do is assess the properties that we've acquired in that area. So what we'll do is 3 assessments. One is, do any of them make sense to preserve for the medical community? You know, can they be developed in the medical community? Can any be developed for housing in the area that makes sense, again, for that workforce or home ownership, things of that nature? And then the third component would be the business corridors associated with Enos Park. If none of the properties that we acquired fit into those 3 categories, those are the ones we'd put up for an RFP. But what we don't want to do is make the mistake of selling properties off and getting rid of them, because you know who buys them? Anybody, you're familiar with Ballybon Apartments, right? Outside entities buy it. One person bought Ballybon Apartments, Corporation Counsel, you can correct me if I'm wrong, $1.5 million, and that's the apartments across from SHG. And it's not even valued at that, but you have these speculators coming into Springfield, buying property, not taking care of them, and they become dilapidated, and we chase our tail.
Well, I
And
do
the
think that
treasurer
one was
can tell you
dilapidated
how much
before they bought
that
it.
is as far as the number of citations that we've run up by the city cutting grass. And so that's what we're trying to do, is codify the process in a better manner across all department lines so we can really, truly utilize our own internal resources as best as possible, and then prove to the council that it is a high priority item, and here's how we're going to move the initiative with regards to redevelopment of those properties as best as possible. So this is just the first step of that. But I'm glad that you say, put it in the mayor's lap. I'd be more than happy to move that direction, because what I don't want to hear is, well, the mayor's being a micromanager, he's trying to take over and things of that nature. And so that's what we're trying to do, is find out what the council's comfort level is in codifying the process and moving that direction. Because we believe this is the best direction to redevelop the properties that we have at our disposal, working with the private sector, public sector, how we make that work in the infill development. And this is just the first step of that process.
So you could say that really technically we're already doing these functions. The only thing that's missing is the component of the Housing Advisory Council, and that council is fully appointed, but when did they last meet?
Well, they haven't met yet.
How long have they been appointed?
I'd have to check. But the whole part of the process is, one, when you have, you have to have the support of the council to work forward in a positive manner. So that's what we're trying to do, is make sure we have the pieces in place to make sure that we move forward in that direction. But, you know, when we talk about dilapidated properties and we turn down ordinances associated with redevelopment of properties, it's kind of a mixed message. And so that's what we want to do, is make sure that the timing's right with regards to the housing initiative. And one of the missing pieces is sitting right here in front of us with Sae, and moving forward with the Harvard development, the whole block redevelopment. So they will be coming forward, once we feel that timing's right with regards to the task at hand or the goals that we want to set forth.
I'm not sure I followed all of that entirely. I will say, first of all, Ballybon was very dilapidated before it was sold to anybody. And if the city is willing to purchase that one, to take that out of the hot mess it's in, that'd be interesting too. I would like to know a little more about the Housing Advisory Council, what their mission was, how that was defined. Did you? Okay. because I think I remember appointing some of these people. It's been, I think it was, I mean, obviously pre-pandemic, so we had a little bit of a gap in meetings, but, you know, I think it is important when we have councils and advisory boards like that are established to do this kind of a function, advise us on housing, advise us on what we need to develop the resources that the community needs. It's important that we utilize people who've agreed to give their time and skills to that, so I'm not sure. And thank you very much.
Alderman Hanauer.
Thank you. I guess I'm looking at this a little different because it looks to me like we're putting this together so that our housing commission has something to do. As it stands right now, with the amount that we have and what we're selling, it's going to take us 15 years to get rid of these. 15. And I would like to know how many houses have we put out for bid that we denied people that wanted them because we didn't like what they had planned for it. You know, you said that we asked them what they want to do. It's all set based on our zoning. You know, if it's zone business, it has to be business unless they come in and they want to go through that process to change the zoning on it.
There are very, very few vacant lots that are zoned commercial. And
But my point, Amanda, is, you know, one of the things that you stipulated, you said that we ask is, what do you want to do with the property? If we can sell it and they do whatever it is that's, you know, it's going to be residential, as long as they're not going against our codes, why do we care? Sell it. And I'm not on you.
No. I understand to an extent where you're coming from. But to me, there has to be some type of mitigation there. Let's just hypothetically, you live in a house and there's a vacant lot next to you, and somebody comes and buys it. We don't care what they're doing with it. Well, yeah, we have to look at what's in the best interest of the citizen, right? Like, we can't just say, yeah, anybody can buy it. I mean, I respectfully have to, you know, disagree with you there. We have to look a little bit at what their intended use is. And I can tell you that majority of the people that do call are adjacent property owners. And there really are very few that we have denied. And I mean, I will go and look, but there was one I can think of off the top of my head that it was a gentleman out of New York. And he doesn't live here. You know, we don't want slumlords. We don't want people that come in and just want to buy the property and don't care what happens to it. And then we're left to maintain it because they're often wherever. So there has to be some kind of oversight. And right now, I take the initial application. I look at the application and review it practically, rationally. To be honest with you, this part of this is very relational. You have to understand who these buyers are to some degree. You know, do we want a church that's, you know, set up and there's a vacant lot across the street? Do we want somebody to come build a shed on it? And, you know, you have to look at what they're going to use it for a little bit.
That's where we have zoning. We have codes. We have building, codes.
And we tell people that. That would be why we turn them away, because they want to do something commercial on a residential structure or a residentially zoned property, and we can't allow for it.
But my concern about this is, okay, we're going to get the housing commission. First thing they're going to do is they're going to put all kinds of stipulations on these lots, and we're never going to sell them. And you know, in 20 years, Roy's going to come back, and I'm going to come back, and they'll still be out there. Because they're going to keep putting stipulations out there. And, you know, I just think that, you know, if this gets them moving, fine. But I will say this, if I would say that we need to put some sort of amendment on this to where if stipulations are put on a lot and it is not sold within 6 months, the stipulations need to come off the lot. Because we need to get these sold. I would love to know how much money we're losing in tax money in property tax because of the 300 plus, the almost 400 lots. Because I realize it may not be $1,000 a lot, but it adds up. And we should do everything we can. And you can hold them and think somebody's going to buy them all and then put a big building or do whatever. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. So that's my 2 cents.
I think it comes back, though, to the whole statement of chasing your tail. So we sell it, and we don't care who buys it, and then, again, we are chasing our tail, in essence, because now Public Works is getting calls, they're getting complaints, a person's not maintaining it, they build something on it, it's out of code. Now we're right back in the same situation.
But
If they don't have the
money for it.
Okay, and perhaps that may be true. However, the property tax on a vacant lot is probably not a great deal. In fact, we're asked that a lot at closings. How much is the property
Amanda-
tax going to be? Well, it's minimal
Amanda,
on a vacant lot.
You're right. I mean,
So-
we all know that have been around a while, know that the reason the city has possession of a significant number of these properties is because Public Works is already maintaining them. We've gone through the process. Your point is well taken about, it goes to tax sale. We acquire them for a very low amount. And, I mean, what I hear, the overall theme here this evening is for us to come up with a better strategy to make sure that everything you said, everything that I think everybody said, we all want to see these properties back on the rolls. We got to be, I think asking the question about what do you intend to use the property for is a very responsible question to be asking. Because what if it's something that, and I hear your point about the zoning, what if it's something within the zoning that isn't good for the neighborhood?
Right,
That's what has
right.
to be asked. So I appreciate the efforts and thanks for your time here. Alderman Williams.
Yeah, I won't prolong this, because to the issue of, is a ordinance required? We most of my questions got answered through the discussion, and I appreciate that, because I learned a lot. However, I didn't hear much about, if we know how, like, for example, Peoria, how did it come into being? Maybe we need to look at that. If it ain't an ordinance in Springfield that creates this land, what brought the others in Cook County and Peoria, the things where you got other land bank examples, or do we even know that, how they come into being?
I think I'll defer to Katia on that particular question with regard to land banks and their success or not success.
Thank you for that question, Alderman Williams. Many of them were, I mean, I can't necessarily speak to the Cook County one, but I do have some contacts in Peoria. It was created for largely the exact reason that we are here. Peoria, as I'm sure many of you know, are very similarly situated to us. They share a lot of similar issues. The unfortunate thing about comparing us to Peoria in this respect is that their land bank is still very young. It was established in May of 2021. In speaking with those colleagues, it's not going badly, but it's still so new that, there's not a lot of data for them to really put out there yet.
Thank you.
Alderman Gregory.
Thank you, Mr. Donald. Real quickly, I support this in the matter of to put something in our city code for us to follow. In my ward, which probably has the highest concentration of these type of lots, what I see is that a lot of these lots are smaller. It seems like, back in Mr. Redpath's days, the houses was built a little differently and the lots were a little smaller. And now, it seems like something has changed where these houses are being built on bigger plots of land. So a lot of times these lots are being, half the reason why we're in this problem is because they're being sold to people or people own them that don't take care of them. And I know we got 350 or whatever, but we probably got 200 more that need to be houses that actually have houses on them that need to be 6-pointed in Public Works policies that need to be 6-pointed and probably tore down, and we'll probably have 500 lots. And these are owned by people who don't live in the county, live somewhere, far, far away, and it's very, very hard for us to deal with these houses. Yet and still, the people have to stay next to them, the rodents in and out of them, and everything else. I'm dealing with with a few now. And it's very, very hard for us to really deal with these houses. And, I support this effort and really trying, especially when we have a Harvard student here studying this. I think, we need to lean on her expertise for this and go with it. So I'll support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. At this point, I think it would be appropriate, unless anybody has any more questions of the presenters, to have Mr. Cisco come up. And he contacted me ahead of time and said that he wants to say a few words. So if you could come up now, that would be great.
And thank you both for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Alderman Donilon, and also thank you, Mayor Langfelder. We did have a meeting yesterday and kind of talked about kind of the issues and concerns that the Capital Area Realtors have. And I think, Alderman Donilon kind of hit the nail on the head is kind of where we sit at in terms of, I think we believe that this doesn't necessarily need to be something that the city council needs to pass with an ordinance. When it comes to the land bank, we believe that the land banks, and we've seen throughout the state throughout the Illinois Realtors, that the sub-entity non-for-profit land banks have been the more successful because they have the ability to take the targeted approach. They're not going to have the 300, almost 400, properties that the city has. They might have 10, but they can target those 10 through IDA grants, the properties being donated, things like that, and really redevelop those and get those back on the market. Our concern is going to be that, if this land bank is put into OPED, then it's just going to sit there, and then we're going to still just have these almost 400 lots, and that's where we're kind of worried. I mean, the Housing Advisory Council hasn't never met, and that is kind of an continuum of the concern, because if they haven't met, then the council that's going to be the board of directors for this land bank has never met, then they're going to, the land bank might not ever get off the ground and start running. So that's kind of where our concerns are at. We agree too that, it probably is ideal for OPED to kind of maintain and have all these properties in their office. So that is not kind of where our concerns come at. That does seem like a good idea. And that's just kind of why we think that, this isn't something that needs to be passed through an ordinance. It might just be a staffing issue that needs to be, that can be addressed with the mayor's office, something like that. Or, if you do want to pass something and codify this, then we just believe that the land bank portion kind of need to be removed from that and really, target the properties that are being acquired by the city, go into OPED instead of the purchasing agent and things like that. So that's kind of where we stand. So, thank you. If you have any questions, I can
Mr. Cisco.
try to answer any.
Yes.
Alderman Williams.
So are there specific lots that you're concerned about, or a specific area of town that you're concerned about? Because it sounds like you're okay with them going to OPED, and maybe at the end you said, but if you do this, if we would is there certain pieces that need to be removed from this plan
From the ordinance?
that concerns your organization?
So, when it comes to the land bank, we're not necessarily for or against land banks. I mean, I think municipalities have a lot of opportunities to fix up dilapidated properties. But if a land bank is what the council wants to move forward with, we aren't against that. We have helped draft many land bank ordinances throughout the state. So, the realtors are definitely there to help write an ordinance. But just our concern is that, since a land bank is so complex, if you don't have it, drafted and crafted in a specific way, it might not be as effective as we would like it to be. So really my concern is that I would want to make sure that if we do move forward with the land bank, that it is crafted in a specific way that will be effective.
Okay, well, are you concerned about the status quo, how we're doing it right now? I mean, is there any concerns from your organization about the condition of the lots and how many and all that? I mean, where are you guys at on that?
I think if you ask any realtor in the city, in the county, throughout the state, and even the country, every realtor, we want our properties, we want our cities looking as good as we can possibly get them. And that is why we want to be here to try to perfect this land bank ordinance, if that is what you guys want to move forward with. So yeah, we definitely are concerned with it. We want to help. We want to be there to help fix the problem.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions of Mr. Cisco? I have one. I guess you mentioned that you met with the mayor, and I don't know who, this question is probably for either one of you, but we have an ordinance on on our agenda this evening, and I really haven't seen any specific suggestions that, meaning in black and white.
Yeah.
And, me personally, I'm certainly open to ideas and suggestions, but I don't want things to just kind of linger around. I mean, how do we get to a point where we can talk, if you have suggested changes, how we can get there and consider those?
Well, I mean, so we definitely have the ability to draft an ordinance if we need to. So we would hope that, if it were tabled, we could work towards that for the next week or two and then get something to you guys and then have, if you want a land bank, that's more of the question is, do you guys think that a land bank is the best thing for the city? And if the answer is yes to that, then that's where we can come in and we can help draft a certain ordinance. So Central Illinois Land Bank, the one over in like the Decatur, Danville area, we helped with that one. And then there is the Twin Rivers Land Bank over like Quincy, Jacksonville area, and we also helped with that one as well. So we definitely have some precedent in working with these land bank ordinances, especially in our Central Illinois region. So that would be no problem for us. So that's kind of where we sit at currently.
Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you, Chair. And Colin, so since you have that experience, what sort of things are in those ordinances and those programs that are not included in what we have in front of us?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is that they are sort of they have an intergovernmental agreement with the municipality, so they are the not-for-profit land bank type. And then, so, I mean, when you get into that world, the land banks look completely different. The ordinance will look completely different. So it'll have board of directors. It'll have kind of funding aspects to it, so like the IDA grants, things like that. So, I mean,
It's just a different kind of beast.
Yeah, it would just look completely different just because it's a different type of land bank.
So do you have any experience with like the Peoria?
So I specifically don't, but my colleague who works in the Peoria area does. So, I mean, I don't specifically know what she did for that one, but I can definitely reach out to her if I need to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would appreciate that because I understand the concept here, and I think that, a smarter management of vacant properties and in planning and working with, the medical district and with neighborhood associations, all of this is really what we should be doing. I would just like to know if there's something else that we need to include that makes this flow more effectively and makes it a more meaningful impact, because obviously we've had two organizations that have tried to do this, and I actually think that there was a fair amount of talent represented by those organizations. So if we're picking up something where they haven't been able to be successful, maybe there's something else we need to be doing that we need to make this be more successful. So if I would appreciate some, and I know some people in Peoria too, but from a realtor's perspective or whatever perspective, I would like to know what other things go on in these ordinances for municipally owned land banks that make them more effective.
Sure.
Alderman Gregory.
I would just like to say real quickly, and Alderwoman Conley just hit on it. We've had two of these examples of non-for-profits trying to run these land banks, and both of them, it didn't come out so well. We just had to bail one out, so to speak. So, and that was given a lot of money. So I think in any event, whatever we change, I think it stays in our OPID hands, and we put it in code. So therefore, even after all of us are gone, we have a direction to go in these lots. So, I don't know if somebody, if people from your organization are aware that they may have a harder time to purchase these lots, but I'll tell you, any lots in our community that any of your members want to build on, I would fully support, and we'll find a way to do that if that's what we're worried about. But I do think we need to have a process to be in place after we're gone. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions of Mr. Cisco while he's here? Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Moving right along, ordinances tabled or remaining in committee, 2022-256, 2022-384, 2022-435, which is the topic we just discussed, 2022-440. Anyone wish to act on any of those ordinances?
I would like to move 2022-440 to debate. Second.
2022-440 or let's, we want to, it's table or remaining in committee. We're in committee, so you want to make a motion to put it on debate, correct?
For next week, yeah.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Any discussion? Alderman Redpath.
Do we know, Corporation Council, do we know where they are on the developers agreement on this?
I think the developers agreement, the draft, is done. Well, the information I think we're waiting on is related to the PLA portion of it. We did talk to them earlier. They said they thought they would have the information by the end of the week. But what I sent to you was our standard developers agreement. It's for Legacy Point, or it's the same one we've used 10 times, but it is what the city, what the council would actually vote on. The PLA portion is related to their contractor. Remember, a private contractor, we can't require a private contractor to enter into a development, to a PLA. Now, it is my understanding from the discussion, they're working on doing that, and they're working through some of the details with the goals for minority business or businesses participating or employment opportunities. So they indicated that they thought they would have more information by the end of the week.
Well, my only point is that we really would like to have that developers agreement so we can vote on this thing, okay? That's, if there's anything we can do to speed it up on the city side, that's all I'm asking.
You have the developers agreement. What we don't have is that other piece related to the other item. And the only thing that I would mention is I'm not clear exactly on the timing. They need to have the project in place, I believe, prior to it is my memory, prior to the 11th or the 15th because of the IDA board meeting.
Right.
However, the gentleman who has appeared here 2 or 3 times had indicated they thought they would have more information by the end of the week.
I talked to him after the meeting last week, and he told us he was going to get it together, so, all right, thank you.
But that's the latest as of earlier today.
Thank you.
Alderman Hanauer.
Yeah, and thank you, Mr. Zirkle. I know that's I haven't been able to look to see what you sent, but I know we have boilerplate, but is that where we would put in 30% participation, minority participation, things like that? I mean, that's the kind of things that I want that I'd like to see done. This is no different than, and we're not trying to hold this, but we did the same thing with Legacy Point because there was a lot of things that had to get put in there. One specifically was the school district. Making sure we got the right school district in that. This is no different than that particular case.
And I think
I just want to make sure we get it done. That's all I care about is that we get the developers agreement done and we can move forward.
One of the things I was going to add, maybe this would be helpful. They are supposed to be giving us a more detailed work schedule. Remember, we went through that with Legacy Point,
Right.
so they're supposed to have that by the end of the week. And then also a better description of the use of the TIF money. So we'll have all of that material. That was one of the questions, and they said that they were going to, it won't change the amounts or anything like that, but just a better description of the work that's being done. So we do expect to have all of that before the end of the week is what they indicated today.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Langfelder.
Yeah, just a couple points of clarification. I think 30%, and asked Alderman Williams or Gregory they'd have to specify where that number came from, but that was with regards to the PLA, Project Labor Agreement, and they're still having those discussions. It's my understanding that Trey Durson, or one of his colleagues, is meeting with Aaron Guernsey and Brad Shivey this week. The item, though, with regards to the Legacy Point, we were providing, I think, 50% of that project. This is 6% of the project cost.
It's still city money.
6% of TIF dollars, which is generated in that ward, Ward 3.
Still
So
city money.
that's the significant difference. It's not the hotel motel tax dollars. It's not the sales tax revenue being generated. This is property tax coming from the area that's dilapidated. That's a high crimed area that we're trying to mitigate. So it's a $38 million project, And, there's a lot of eyes watching us because it is an affordable housing project that's going to lift this neighborhood up. So everybody just needs to keep in mind the goal. That's all I'm asking. And so that's why we ask that it be put on debate.
Alderman Hanauer.
And I agree, Mayor. Our rules don't specify how much money the city puts in. The rules say if the city money's getting put in, we got rules that we have to abide by. It doesn't say it has to be 50%. If it says if city money or TIF money is involved, then they have rules that they have to abide by. Some of those rules include they have to bid things out. They have to, they follow, different things. And just every TIF is generated in the area that they're at. That's the mechanism of the TIF. This is no different. And all I'm saying is we need to see the developers agreement. And I would love to see, I know they're talking 30%, I think that's, and I don't know, I've been told that's legendary. That's never happened. And so from my perspective, all I want is the developers agreement. And we have rules we have to follow. I don't care where it is in town. We have rules we have to follow. That's all I'm saying.
Mayor, would you like to reply?
Sure.
And then Alderman Gray.
Because that's the law. TIF districts have rules you have to follow. That's the law. So nobody's talking about that. What we're talking about is the developers agreement's coming forward. Whatever's passed, we have to follow the law. So we will do that. And Trey Durson was here saying he's going to pay prevailing wage. Where it got caught up on is the PLA. And that's where we wanted to see the details of it. I even said that. What's the details of the PLA? Developers agreement, the same way. I agree wholeheartedly. We have to follow that. Nobody's saying that. What we want to make sure of is that it doesn't get caught up on that because that is the developer's prerogative, whether there's a PLA or not. Is that right, Corporation Counsel?
Yeah, maybe this would help clarify. The developers agreement that you have the draft of has all of our normal requirements, for TIF, the local labor usage and so on. It's all in there. Prevailing wage, all of those items are in there. And what they were going to do was give us some additional information on both the schedule and exactly more detail on how the breakout on the TIF, the use of TIF and so on was. We have all of the provisions in there for minority recruitment. I mean, it's all very, I don't want to use the word standard, but it contains all of our normal requirements as any TIF project has. What is a little different in this regard is potentially creating, through this other discussion process that's taking place, goals that are goals for hiring or meeting certain targets and so on that go beyond what is ordinarily existing. So that's the discussion I think that's being taken place, and then how is that going to be accomplished essentially. So the development agreement you have is that it has all of the proper requirements under the statute, ordinance and so on, but we are waiting for some more detail that we'll share as soon as we get it.
Alderman Gregory.
Thank you, Mr. Donlin. I think we could probably pull this out on debate, and then next week we have to vote on it, and if we don't, as a body, like what we see, then we hold it or we deny it. But I think at this point we have what's required with our development agreement, and I want to see a high minority percentage. I know he does. So if he doesn't like it, then we'll deal with it next week. But I think. As far as a body and us moving forward and really showing that community that we're sincere in what we want to do, I think we can put it on debate and handle it next week when it's time to vote. Thank you.
Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you. Alderman Gregory, I agree with you. I just want to be clear, because we got this, I did see we got an email as a draft, like 4:45. The expectation that this will be signed by next week? And will we, Mr. Zirkle, will we get a chance to see a signed draft before we sit down?
No, we don't sign them before the council, approves.
Okay,
So what you have is the draft, and this is, I do apologize for that a little bit, because this is not some abnormal, because we went through this, if you recall, Legacy Point, where there were several, I would call changes or additional information provided as it went along. And what you have in front of you is what I would call the standard development agreement that requires all of the proper, both local, federal, and state compliances for the use of TIF money. But there is definitely going to be some additional detail. It won't change the economic amount, not the 2.2 million, but it is going to fill in more information on both schedule, when do they start, when do they finish. That we went through that with Legacy, if you recall, staging and everything. And then also a better description of the actual use of the TIF funds, what those will be going for, since parts are for reimbursables. So
And
that
we'll have all
information
of-
will come forward.
so, and we'll have all of that before us, before
Yes.
next Tuesday?
Yeah,
Okay,
but-
thank you, Mr. Zirkle.
He indicated, Mayor is reminding me, but he indicated we would have it this week, by the end of the week.
Wonderful.
And what I wanted to be sure was you see the draft, but if anyone looked at Legacy Point, or if you looked at the Y one, they're 99% always the same, except when you get project description, what work is being done, and the timing of it. So that's what we are trying to pin down right now. The extra information, they also said they would have regarding the targets, goals, goals for hiring and so on. And they're
Thank you
going
very
to
much.
provide that to us as well.
Alderman Redpath.
I think you answered my question. I just want to make sure we have even if it's not a signed draft, I just want to see the draft
Yes,
before I vote on this.
And yes, sir, you do have it today, and I just mentioned that if there's any questions, you'll look it over, and that gives you a whole week to look at it, but again, I'm trying to give everybody some assurance. 98% of what's there is what you've seen every single time. The project description and timing, construction is what I think you normally would really focus in on.
Thank you.
Okay, the motion on the table is for the debate agenda. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Noted.
Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to bring to the front of
So
the,
moved.
of the agenda item number 2022-463.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk, if you'd please start with that ordinance.
Will do.
Resolution, excuse me.
2022-463, a resolution requesting that the city of Springfield be included with other Illinois municipalities for consideration of receiving a casino license for the purpose of providing downtown economic development and job creation.
Move for discussion.
Motion and a second for discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Hanauer.
Yeah, thank you. Well, She beat me.
Alderwoman DeCenzo, we're going to follow the rules here.
Hot fingers, hot
She's
fingers.
fast. Beat you.
It is my understanding that the legislative leaders are not looking to reopen gaming for casino licenses. From discussions I've had with people at the Capitol, around the Capitol, that is my understanding, that we can pass this resolution, but it's not going to mean anything because they're not going to open anything up for casino licenses. That's it.
Okay. Alderman Hanauer.
thank you. I guess my concern about this is, number one, have we seen any kind of studies on what it does to the gaming that we already have, what it does to the mom and pop shops, the local, we want you to shop local, and we've got a lot of people out here that, they have it on their windows and that. But we bring in a casino, it's gonna be from outside, it's gonna be a big company. How much does the city get? Let's just say that we do get it. How much does the city get out of it? And what's it do to these guys? That's my concern. We've got a lot of gaming machines out there in a lot of locations, and some of them, they use it to pay their utility bills and whatever. And, are we gonna have holes in a lot of strip malls, things like that, if this casino comes in? The other part is, I think that we need to think about what, I'm not necessarily sure if, let's just say we have it downtown, it's a good thing for downtown. Because I think if you go around casinos, you see a lot more homeless. You see a lot of beggars, so to speak, panhandlers, and which, I mean, we've got some of that downtown now, but it could make it worse. But my main concern about this is, what does it do to our local groups? We're doing this for our local groups before we, to help out a large corporation. Last week we just had, we tried to kill hotel rooms. And, if this is going to be a big thing, if that last week would have passed, what would we have done on this? Because we wouldn't have had hotel rooms to put them in. It just seems like we don't have an overall plan on this whole downtown or whatever. It's like we're throwing this up and we're throwing this up. And I just think that, for me, I'm not for bringing in a casino. I just don't see, I think it really affects the local people, the people that are out here right now. That's my thought, and I'm willing to look for studies or whatever somebody can get me to prove otherwise, but I just think there's so much to go around, and this is going to hurt it. So,
Alderman Gregory.
Thank you, Mr. Donlin. So I this is such a tough one. Well, for one, no matter where it goes, I think if homelessness increases, it's not because of the particular business that we bring. It's because of how this world is going, that we need to put more resources in that. If it does increase, it's increased because of that, not particularly for that business, but because, us as leaders are not doing a very good job. But I will say that I read the article that came from Illinois Times, and it said that we have 757 gaming terminals. That's 200 and over Rockford, which is a much larger city than ours. So it tells me we have a taste to gamble. I've heard, I've sat back, I've read different things. This one says downtown. I've heard someone else say the fairgrounds. I would love to see it go off of I-55. But we have to, and I get it, right? I've talked to the same people you've talked to on the legislator and their willingness to maybe open up another one. They want to see how the ones that they just approved went. But that doesn't mean forever. And I think that whoever's controlling that, I think it's unfair to say, well, we're never going to do it because you may not have that office. Somebody may else have that office. Things change in time. And I think that we have to be open to it if it ever comes. We're the capital city. Like every other city has it. We talk about tourism and things of that nature. I don't know if it's a perfect fit for downtown. I don't know if it's a fit for the fairgrounds or even off 55 where I would love to see it. I think that's a developer's choice. I think the developer, the person who would come in, should have that right to do that. It's going to have its plus minuses, right? It's going to have opportunity for people to work and make money and drive in more jobs. Will it affect some smaller gaming terminals? Who knows? Maybe the gaming terminal is the guy that's running it in the casino. But we have 737 of them, and we get 2.2 million of that tax money here in the city from our gaming terminals. So in return, that tells us our gaming terminals and the people who have them, they're making some money. I know Godfathers is here, and I respect y'all, but we can't base everything off of and growth in our city off of people who are already in the business and saying, no, we're never going to grow because we're not going to make money no more. But when that's not true, you're still going to make your money. People are not going to leave your establishments just to go to a casino. But that's just I would really love to see, there's a big push in this state and around the country to see a minority casino. I would love to see that and have the opportunity to have that in here in Springfield, but I know some people think that'll never happen. I get it, but I have to keep that dream alive. So that's just my spill on it. Thank you.
Alderman Williams.
Well, so now, Alderman DeCenso, you know our friends are known to change their mind. I mean, I remember when they closed it down and boom, they reopened and Danville got it. You know, that's how Danville got. So just because they're saying that don't mean they're going to do that. The other option is they may still deny us. They might say, no, we don't want to give it to Springfield. Something about this council and asking is scary. I mean, let's do a referendum. We vote down. We don't want to ask our citizens. All we're doing is asking. It ain't like we're approving on this vote. We're asking the state. Because I read articles where we wish we would have asked early on in this process, and we missed that. So all I'm saying is it's not like it's going to happen just because this passes. I hang out at the places. I hear the people. I gamble with some of them. Always saying, oh, God, we're spread it all out. I can't see. I wish we all was in one place. Wow. And I know what I'm talking about. I hang out at Godfather sometime, hang out with my cousins over here sometime. So I know what these gamblers are saying. Now, are they united? Probably not, like anything else. Some are not going to want a casino, some are. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing, and what I'm telling you, we shouldn't be scared to ask or to get on the list. Even if they say agree and let Springfield, it may be the new council, and we may do something totally different and still not do it. However, if we decide to do it in Springfield, there's a hotel there called Crown Plaza, and the bottom two floors, I'm telling you guys, big parking lot already. We just set up and we ready to go. Thank you.
Alderman
What ward's
Redpath.
that in?
Yeah.
Ward 3.
Alderman Redpath.
You know, I think we all forget what happened here in the last couple of years with the pandemic. And I can tell you that a lot of these people are sitting out here because they had the money to get through the pandemic with the money that they built up on their video poker machines and gaming machines. I know that all the lake clubs, they had to depend on that money to stay afloat because they didn't have any other revenues. They were done. I belonged to the Anchor Boat Club, and we had enough money in there to get us through that whole thing. I don't care about a big casino coming to Springfield. I don't want one because I'm dependent on these folks. These are the mom and pops that keep this city going. You want to talk about job creation? I know the Godfather's Pizza guys here, they have 80 employees in Springfield, 80. So when they get affected by the casinos coming in here, they're going to be stuck with, we got to lay you off because we don't have enough revenue coming in. And then those jobs, we'll go downtown and get with the casino. How many jobs are they going to have? You know, we're putting it in the middle of our tourist district, right? If that's where they're talking about putting it, I presume we're never going to let that hotel, whatever we're going to do with it. But bottom line is that we got to stick with the mom and pops. These are the folks that need the money to pay their bills, to get through. And they're the ones that are driving. The small business is the one that drive economies. And these are the people that bust their butts every day trying to keep the city afloat. I'm voting for them.
Mayor Langfelder.
I'm voting for them also.
So no casino.
We brought, I wanted to put a moratorium on video gaming. We all know it's saturated. Alderman Gregory pointed that out. And actually, when I wanted to bring this forward, I wanted to restrict or say no video gaming, but they say, oh, it won't come, you know. So we put the word limit. But the bottom line, why did I bring it? Rewind the clock. 3.5 hours last week spent on how valuable the hotel rooms are. We had developers tell you it won't work. Well, you just proved my point. Bring in the casino, automatically registers into hotel rooms. And who codified that was David Mitchell when he said that. When I said, you know, we're bringing a casino resolution, he goes, oh my gosh, I'm not sure what that's going to do to the apartments. I think he said that's going to do it in. Corporation Counsel, you remember what the exact words were? But that's why I brought it forward. And so right now there's 2 avenues we don't have. Sports betting, which is wildfire right now, don't have it here. Table games, and it has to be staffed. We had a good conversation with this morning, Spirited, it was good. But the whole intent is to do what's in the best interest of the city. As Alderman Williams pointed out, we just want the option. Because guess what? When we brought the, I think the resolution forward back in 2021 or whatever it was, if we had that at that point in time, it brings value to the Wyndham. I don't think we would have had the discussion. Just like if we had the sports complex, we wouldn't have the discussion about the Wyndham. So that's what we're trying to figure out. Give us the options. And everybody realizes how valuable options are coming out of a pandemic. And the people in the audience understand that more than anybody because we did the outdoor dining and everything else that went with it. So that's what we're looking at is how best to protect their interests and protect the interests of the city. So I guess to the council, because if we don't pass this resolution or we, stall or whatever we want to do, and again, we're just asking for the option, give the city of Springfield, just like you did Danville, Peoria, Rockford, Aurora, Chicago, and many others, you gave them the opportunity. We want that option, and then the city council can decide when and where we would do it. But if we don't, there's a place it can go, the fairgrounds. And we had this discussion, what happens if it goes to the fairgrounds? Because that's not in the city, even though we asked the governor's office, we've asked the state of Illinois for many years, I've been on record, to annex into the city. So if there is ever an expansion, that's definitely in the play and it's out of our control. So every action has a reaction and we all have to understand that. And all I'm saying is we want to be treated like those many other cities. Give us the option so we can exercise it if we so choose. And if we don't think it's in our economic interest for our whole community, we won't exercise it.
Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you. We've had some conversation around location. I would like to point out the resolution itself very specifically mentions, the downtown entertainment district, downtown, the Springfield Transportation Hub. I mean, it certainly sounds like this resolution envisions a downtown presence for a casino. I have significant concerns. I've been contacted by local business owners. I know running a restaurant can be a razor-thin margin at best, in good circumstances. And I've had some very compelling information about how this has enabled us to maintain really a variety of eating establishments that we have in Springfield, and we're very lucky on that. We have a range of restaurants that, if you don't eat out well in Springfield, you're not trying. And I'm hesitant, really, to put our local business owners on any more uncertain ground. I'm also very concerned about the concept of a downtown casino and the impacts that would have on, our federal sites for Lincoln, on the visitors that come here. I think part of what we keep talking about is that Springfield is that family-friendly destination, and we've got that. The components of a larger city. We've got great eating. We've got some really fun activities that you can go to. We could use a little more nightlife maybe, but, for younger people. But, I'm concerned about the mixed messages that bringing a large casino when, realistically, we do have a lot of video gaming. And then just finally, I know this says emphasize table gaming and sports betting. Everything I've read about sports betting is at least 90% online. That's not something that people are going into any location to do in person. It's an online function because that's what we allow. So I'm not entirely certain. Anyway, I have significant concerns about this, and I guess I would say this is our opportunity to say whether or not we feel this is appropriate for the city of Springfield. I don't know why we would ask the General Assembly to jump through hoops for us and then say, oh, by the way, no. I'm not entirely certain that's the right message either. So, significant concerns about moving this forward.
Alderman Gregory.
My final point is, I agree with designating a location. I think that should be up to the developer. So if it will help, count votes, but if it will help move this along to have the option, I would be willing to amend it to have no destination on it. And my last point is, we have busloads, charter buses that take people from our city to the casinos. I get it, but we have people who live here and take their money that they make and they go to the casino because we don't have one here. They go to Peoria, they go to St. Louis often. Like it's a thing, a monthly thing. So I'm just saying if we looking at the majority of our citizens, they like to gamble, and we should look for different options to give them that choice. Maybe if they, had some things like that, we would retain our people. We talk about tourism and visitors. When they come, they're bored. They have nothing to do besides go see Abraham Lincoln. I mean, my ward represents some of our most precious assets, Lincoln Homes, Elijah House, on and on and on and on. But people get tired of doing that. They come here once, twice, they get tired of doing that. We need more things. We'll be glad when the sports complex comes. I'm a guy that hosts the tournament every year, bring hundreds of people here for the last 6 years, so I get it about tourism and things to do in our city, because I get those questions when those people come. Where am I going to take my kids? What are we going to do? What am I going to do when they go to bed and leave the hotel? You can go downtown. It's not much, but, it's this, and that. So I'm just saying we could at least have the option open, and if everybody's comfortable with not designating, I don't think we should. I think we should let a developer, if he does it. We're talking about something that is not a next year thing or a year after that before they would decide on that. We're talking about something that would take years before the state would approve. So that's just my take on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor, you're going to be next, and then we're going to hear from somebody from the licensed beverage group.
Yeah, that's what I was going to advise, because we'd work on an amendment. Alderman Conley brought up one that should be added, as well as Alderman Gregory, and that is location, to provide that option, whatever would make sense if we get to that point.
Okay, I believe Mr. Bandy.
Hello
Please introduce
again.
yourself.
Hello, I'm Ryan Bandy. I'm owner of Win-Lose Draws. Most of you know. I'm also now the president of the Central Illinois Licensed Beverage Association, our local chapter of the ILBA. And first of all, I want to appreciate, we had a very spirited discussion with Mayor Langfelder and Corporation Council today, and I appreciate them both taking the time out of their busy days to do that. We found out about this request for ordinance last, a couple Saturdays ago. We had a meeting with our membership on that Monday, and we knew, of course, that'd be very important to our membership. So we wanted to make sure that our membership had a voice in this process, and we had a discussion at our meeting, and our membership voted unanimously in a resolution to oppose this ordinance, also oppose any future resolution or request for consideration of a casino license in the city of Springfield, and also oppose any casino in the city of Springfield or surrounding area. The bottom line is we have a lot of concerns, and the concerns is that the ordinance, the way that it's drafted, is very vague. We're concerned. We've had a lot of discussions today. The mayor said that he is absolutely against having any slot machines in the casino that would come to town. I'd be interested to hear what Alderman Gregory says. How does it feel about that?
We disagree.
Yeah, but to me, I don't know how that's going to work. I think slot machines at a casino are kind of like hamburgers to McDonald's, is an analogy that works to me. So I don't know if that'll happen or not. But we have 75 businesses that are located here in the city of Springfield that are part of our membership, and we had a large contingent of there at our meeting, and they're very concerned. And they're very concerned because what we've seen in other cities, you want some research about how it affects the businesses. Well, Rockford just opened one, I think about 6 months ago or so, and their revenue for the video gaming of the local businesses is down over 12%. So that can be a considerable number for some of these struggling businesses that are, not doing well. So, or just open. And to go to your point too, Alderman Gregory, personally, you were at my bar a couple of weeks ago. Appreciate you coming out and guest bartending. It wouldn't be there without the gaming, and that was one part of the business model. And it wouldn't be there now. So, and I'm fortunate that it's done well. I've been able to expand and also pay my people well, offer health insurance, start them at bartenders 12, daytime people at $15 an hour, and I want to take care of my employees. And we're able to do those things because of the subsidy that the gaming revenue does for our local businesses. Another thing too, there's a reason you still get a $3 or $2.50 beer in Springfield, Illinois. If you go to Chicago, it's about $8 or $9. Okay. because of this gaming revenue. So along with that, talking to the mayor today, we do have some serious concerns. Again, our membership has voted on this. The mayor talked about possibly coming to our next member meeting. That really comes down to what the council decides to do the next couple of weeks. We're always willing to have a discussion going forward. We had some concerns that seemed kind of very spur of the moment, the way it moved through, but we're definitely willing to have some discussions about some possibilities. I don't know if our membership will ever get on board with this or not, but we're willing to allow the mayor, anybody else, talk to our membership about it. But I'm here representing them, and they have unanimously opposed this where we're at right now. So I'll be happy. I have some stats. I sent some of you some statistics. We have concerns. The entertainment district, what happened in St. Louis after Lumiere was built. I mean, Laclete's Landing was just decimated. Okay, and I, as somebody that was in the bar business downtown for 10 years and had dealt with the challenges of being downtown, I'm very concerned about those businesses too downtown. So, just want to say that. I'll be happy to take any questions you may have.
Alderman Williams.
Yes, sir. Thank you for coming. So, your organization, voted against this. So, have they looked at what the Decatur, Chatham, any other little bitty towns around, if they happen to say, I'll take the casino, and they get it, would there be impact?
And that's a valid point, absolutely.
Because we're driving all the way to St. Louis to the big casinos. We're driving all the way to Peoria. I'm quite sure they'll go to Chatham or Decatur or...
I don't know. Chatham stays up until midnight during the week. I don't know if they'd ever want to casino.
You never know, because we're looking at what the people are saying. That's why we have so many terminals and why it's so good for you. So it's not that I'm arguing you guys' position, but I'm just saying when we don't do this, or at least don't get on the list to have it as an option, we end up getting beat out by our neighbors who are 30 minutes away from us.
Sure.
This tonight just gives us that option for later as things lay out and as we see how things go, But if we never do it and never get on the list, that's what ends up happening. One of the smaller ends up, and then all our people just go even more. Then they stop coming to your little local place and even go. So it's not always safe just to say don't do it at all. It's more like the mayor is trying to do. We got to figure out a way that you guys exist, but a certain type of casino for us exists. That you guys don't offer table games, so we're going to put them in their sports bet and make some kind of agreement, and then everybody coexists maybe. But to just not do it at all and get on the list, I just think ain't smart. So, thank you.
Any further questions for Mr. Bandy?
Mike, did you want to say something too?
Mike, would you like to come up?
Up to the chairman. He the boss.
Well,
I was trying my best to stay away from the microphone tonight. It's good to see all of you.
please state your name.
It's Mike Mansour. I and John own Godfather's Pizza
Thank you, Mike.
and do Chili, Parlors of America, which is Springfield local businesses. And the reason why I wanted to talk to you briefly is because you brought up Godfather's Pizza tonight, and it relates to video gaming. John and I bought Godfather's Pizza when Godfather's Pizza was about to go out of business in Springfield and close. And we were able, fortunately, through the grace of God, to save it, revive it, and build it, and expand it. Then we were hit with all sorts of things, the 2008 recession, the pandemics, and stuff. But then video gaming came along, and it was intended for bars and restaurants. It did get a little out of hand, and I've been up here, and I spoke to all of you about that and my feelings on that. That's not on these people, that's on our leaders, to allow it to get out of hand. So we're a little hesitant when we hear this is what we intend, because we heard that before with video gaming. The intention is for businesses like restaurants and bars, not daycare centers, nail salons, truck stops, or anything else. It was for businesses and bars that got hit and hit time and time again. Because you have to admit, usually when government wants extra revenue, they turn to retail. And there's so much of the pie that you can take from retail. So getting back to my point with the Godfathers, So I wanted to get rid of the restaurant business completely. I'm reaching retirement age. Well, then an opportunity called Do Chili that's been in this area and established in this area since 1909 came up. And John wanted to open up Do Chili Parlor or buy it because the owners of that was going to close it down. We didn't want something that's been around for over 100 years to be lost, but it was because of video gaming. Alderman Williams, we now have a store in your ward.
Hell, don't kick me out of Godfather.
I'm not going to kick you out of Godfathers, because I know you do come there and visit us. And you heard what the people say, we want it under one roof.
Yeah.
Okay, so one roof, well, what about the many, many roofs that may close because of this one big corporate entity that wants to move in and not keep the dollars in our community like we do now? So I appreciate the mayor and corporation council today. I'm always willing to talk, but we went from, at Do Chili, 3 employees, just at Do Chili, 14 seats and no parking when we bought the company. Now we have 3 brick and mortar locations in Springfield. We are now on the national stage with our manufacturing, and that has shown, and we are able to brag about Springfield, Illinois. We wouldn't have been able to do that without video gaming. So carefully think about what you're considering. What may sound good may do a lot of damage, because you said, what if we don't do it? Well, what if you do it and it fails and these people close? Then what? That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Alderman Gregory.
Final question, Mr. Mike, or anybody in the, my final question, and you've been in this business a long time, and I know you said you was coming up here, so let me ask you a question, because we have to do something. This will probably fail, and that's all right. So should we cap gaming, or should we allow every restaurant and bar that comes open to have the same benefits that everyone else has? Because that's what we go through right now.
I appreciate the question, and I would like the city council to think out of the box. The mayor has attempted that in the past. I would like the council to think of what can give value to your small business owners who have been with the city through thick and thin. What can you do that will give value instead of taking? And I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but usually when I'm here, these people here, it's because you're taking, and it hurts. You know, I told a story one time on the pandemic, and I'm out of breath because I'm overweight and out of shape. So, so it's hard. You know, when the pandemic hit and we were shut down, we were told no video gaming, no restaurant. And there was a lady that has been with us for, 20 years, a single mom, and her daughter has an autistic child, which she raises. And I remember getting a phone call at 4 o'clock in the morning, what am I going to do? And I said, I don't know, Danielle. I don't know what you're going to do, because I don't know what's going to happen. So now we're getting these phone calls now when we hear about this, because we have employees on payrolls based on the business we have coming in. So these employees, a lot of them are single parents, are now asking that question again. What are we going to do if they do this? Because yes, the casino will bring in jobs, but how many jobs are they going to take from the small guys?
All right. Okay. I mean, the reason why I asked that is because, you know, I approved a Lucy's or something like that on Stevenson, and the neighbors did not want it. Mm-hmm. But I approved it because it was in a strip mall, it's a business and things of that nature. So that's what we as aldermen, I know Alderman Williams, we go back and forth about it, because I got a gas station that wants to put some food in there and have it. So what I'm saying is everyone is hearing, hey, there's money out there to be made in the video gaming section that will help my business stay around, or whatever the case may be. So every restaurant that opens up in every bar, they're all wanting video gaming. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, I get parents and I get people like, oh, they're on every corner. I
hear what you're saying, Alderman, and I agree. I said there should be, we should go back to the intent of bars and restaurants, and not every Tom, Dick, and Harry. If I was a business investor coming into Springfield right now, I wouldn't go buy a bar or restaurant to put video gaming in because there's so much, again, of the pie to cut, and it's been split so many ways. So what's going to happen? You're going to have the young lady that was sitting here talking about land banks talking to you again because a lot of people can't survive. So again, your decision on this casino, while it sounds good, up front, think about the long-term effects on there. A moratorium, Mayor, I'm 100% with you. And give value to the people who've stuck with this city through good and bad times. Because right now, a lot of these people rent their locations. And who's going to buy a bar and restaurant right now with inflation and everything going on? So a moratorium would, and make that license value would really benefit these people and us. And not only us, you know, because people always say, those greedy people that don't like competition. But I want to remind you of the young lady, the single mom, who calls at 4 o'clock in the morning, worried what's going to happen tomorrow.
That's a good point.
And that's who we have. Okay? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Any other questions? I don't want to walk away and have to walk out because I
Alderman
get out
Williams.
rather easy.
I wouldn't.
Then we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah, so we can wrap it up, but so from Stevenson Drive to Sangamon, Dirksen Parkway, well, no, I'm not gonna say how many I have, but it's a Vegas strip, okay? With video gaming, you would be amazed if you knew that number. How many, and 4 more coming. Nothing I could do about it. A lot of them are already got their proper everything, because we're not the only players in the decision-making. The state has a lot to do with this too, you know, on how many and who, and they're doing most of the approving. We just have this liquor piece and some other things. But so these other 4 are coming all on this same stretch. You say a moratorium, so that they can't. Is that what I'm hearing?
I would entertain that. I'm not saying that's the answer.
Yeah.
But here's the deal is I always hear from our city leaders, you guys on the horseshoe, a lot, that the city doesn't have a say. It's the state that dictates. That's not necessarily true, because if you look at some of the other surrounding cities of what they have done to control it, you have a big say. And I'll yield.
Real quick about the topic that you're both talking about the small gaming parlors, things like that. Quite honestly, that's apples and oranges compared to a casino. You go to a casino, you can bet $50, $100 a bet. We can't do that. You can play table games. You can play electronic table games. We can't do that. There are a lot of things that a casino can do. They can stay open until 5 a.m. They can stay open 24 hours. We can't do that. So we want to play by the same rules. That's all we're asking. And if we can't, it's just not fair to us. We've been here, we've busted our butts. I busted my butt. I maxed out all my credit cards. Okay, my parents didn't give me money to open my business. I busted my butt. My mom gave me a $5,000 loan, wouldn't take it back, but I busted my butt. Okay, and we've all busted our butt for this town, and we're proud to live here in Springfield, Illinois. Okay, we just want to play, everybody to play by the same rules. That's what we're asking. Thank you.
Well, you know, I just want to say that the businessmen that I'm talking to are always saying to me, ultimately, we can't exist without it, without gaming.
That's true.
You know, the new Quick Trip that's coming on Stevenson Drive, the new, there's a restaurant that's been in Springfield 25, 30 years. Fast food for the first, I'm not letting you do it on, it's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? 801 North Dirksen, we approved a few weeks ago. They're going to do it, but they already had some of the stuff in place as far as the zoning. You know what I'm saying? So downstairs said, no, you can't stop that part of it. They already have that package liquor piece, you know. So as that thing is crowding in these new businesses is really what I wanted to get your opinion on. People who are building are saying, I'll build it, but I got to have gaming.
Well, and I think our membership is very more than willing to have a discussion about putting a moratorium on those. I know the mayor brought that up today, and that's something that we plan to talk about at our meeting when the mayor comes to. But again, I want to keep going back to the point that they're all playing by the same rules that we are, and that's our big concern with a casino is that there's going to be completely different rules. We went through this I hate to say it like this, a lot to click a 3 a.m. license. Well, how late is this casino going to be open? Mr. Mayor and I have a bet that it may not be open past 1 a.m. I don't know if that's going to happen. So if it's shovel ready and he's digging that, putting that shovel down there, and I've got $100 for him if that casino's able to 1 a.m. with just sports betting. But the bottom line is this: casinos have totally different rules than what we have in our local businesses. And that is our biggest concern. The mayor's brought up some things that he may be able to do. We don't know if the state will allow that or not. And that's where we need to have these, it depends on what the council does over the next couple of weeks. But we're willing to have these conversations and see legally, can a casino exist without slot machines? Okay. We have a lot of different opinions on that from state and city. So we're willing to have those, but again, either way, a casino is going to play with different rules than the local businesses, and that is our number one concern.
Thank you. Okay, just the chair would like to remind the group that the motion on the table is for discussion. Mayor?
Yeah, just one point to clarify what Alderman Williams is bringing up. And, we've kind of stemmed that tide, I think, is we get requests for video gaming, and it used to be, I want to run a restaurant. I want to open up a bar. But now it's, I want to open up a video gaming with the restaurant or bar or nail salon, and the list goes on and on. So that's where it comes with the moratorium aspect that we've introduced before. But, hopefully you come with the same vinegar, that if we do put a moratorium, because what we don't want is silence. I mean, I think we had this discussion. He goes, this sprung on me, and I said, well, you could have called me on Sunday or whatever. I'd come Monday. And I said, the reason I like it here is because everybody gets a chance to speak on it. And it's not a done deal behind the doors or behind closed scenes. I think it's important that we take stances or express our opinion right here on the council floor. So we appreciate everybody's, input, insight. But again, going back to the basic concept, the Wyndham was driving this initiative. That's why we brought it forward, and the opportunities, and that's all we're asking for. There's two elements that aren't here in Springfield: sports betting and table games that are staffed. And so that was the intent always, but it's helpful to have this additional discussion because we don't want to put the camel's nose under the tent and, there it goes. And so we understand that, but we'll be, and, hopefully anybody would like to come out November 15th. Is that when the meeting is? 14th. And have this discussion with the membership.
14th, right? 15th?
Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Hanauer, then we're going to move along.
Okay, real quick, I was the last one that tried to, we looked at capping, and here's the reason why it didn't work. The rules are crazy. And keep in mind, once you cap it, the liquor license for the establishments that have it already, they are worth a fortune, an absolute fortune. So let's just say your friend had a bar over here and he didn't have gaming, but another friend had a bar that had gaming. Guess what? Those license, because when they go to sell the bar, it's going to be worth an awful lot more. And so I think Mr. Zirkle and I spent a lot of time talking when we were looking at that, and it took me a while to understand that, and that's one of the concerns that we have. I've always been about that it'll saturate itself, right? And there's going to be, and we've had some that have closed because either what happens is they have a restaurant that either the food isn't very good, so people don't go in there to game, and they lose it, but this way what people would be doing is they have a restaurant with gaming, they can sell it for a lot of money, and I don't disparage any of you guys because that's the truth. So going forward, the one thing, so Mayor, you had requested we hold it or until what? Till after you meet with their whole body? Is that what we're want to do? So do we need a motion or do we just
The motion on the table again was for discussion, so there is no motion to move it forward presently.
Well, if
Motion
we're
to
going to hold it, my motion's, my next move is, I was going to send it on for debate. If the mayor wants to hold it, we'll hold it here.
That's fine.
Is that all right?
Second.
So
Okay, there's a motion to hold the ordinance in committee. Is there a second?
I already seconded it.
Okay, motion and already seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk, CWLP.
Hang in there, guys.
Thanks, guys.
2022-447, an ordinance authorizing a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $193,000 from the city's corporate ARPA funds to the water ARPA funds to authorize and accept proposal number UW 23-22 with Crawford Murphy and Tilley Incorporated for engineering services for water filtration, taste, and odor study in an amount not to exceed $193,000 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move for consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for consent. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
2022-448, an ordinance accepting bids and authorizing contract UE 23-09-61 wire tensioner and puller for T&D with Sherman and Riley Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $142,168 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move for consent.
Motion and a second for consent. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2022-449, an ordinance accepting bids and authorizing contract UE 23-09-63 fencing replacement at Cornell Substation with Amco Fence Company in an amount not to exceed $69,890 for the Office of Public
Move for
Utilities.
consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for consent. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2022-450, an ordinance approving a professional service agreement with Experitech Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $150,000 to provide predictive maintenance machinery management services from the Electric Division Generation Department for a 2-year term for the Office of Public
Move
Utilities.
for consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for consent. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2022-451, an ordinance approving a telecommunications contract service agreement with Bank of Springfield for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move for consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for consent. Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2022-452, an ordinance approving a master intergovernmental agreement for telecommunications contract service with the State of Illinois Department of Innovation and Technology, State, for Ethernet connections from various sites to the State of Illinois Data Center located at 201 West Adams for the Office of Public Utilities.
consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for consent. Any discussion?
Mayor, or Chair,
Alderwoman Conley.
just briefly, I just want to, just let the clerk know the screen's not showing the ordinance that we're on, or on our computers.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go, thank you.
Any discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2022-453, an ordinance approving and authorizing execution of a license agreement with Spring River Hunting and Fishing Club for fishing at the gravel pit property for the Office of Public
Move for
Utilities.
consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for consent. Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'll
All
be
those
present
opposed?
on that one.
All those opposed, nay, and one present. Got that,
Noted.
Mr. Clerk?
Sorry, I'll be present also.
Two presents.
2 presents? Noted. 2022-454, an ordinance approving a professional services agreement with Energy Venture Analysis in an amount not to exceed $49,000 to provide consulting services in relation to the evaluation and analysis on coal market for the Office of Public Utilities.
Your motion.
Motion for debate.
Second.
Motion and a second for debate. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk, Public Works.
Public Works.
Mr. Chairman, we do need to hold till the next committee meeting, 455, 456, 457, and 458. Those are 2 annexation, agreements and so on. However, the notices didn't give sufficient time, so we have to wait the additional time for the publication.
Motion for omnibus.
Motion for omnibus for
455.
agenda items 455 through 458.
Yes. Motion to hold.
For a second.
Second.
First, we're going to do the omnibus vote. Is there a second for the omnibus?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
Motion
Mr.
to
Clerk,
hold.
please.
Second.
Motion and a second for hold. Mr. Clerk, please read the ordinances.
2022-468, an ordinance
55.
Oh, all right. 2022-455, an ordinance authorizing execution of annexation agreement between the City of Springfield, Illinois, and Fred Wanless LLC for property located at Hill Street. 2022-456, an ordinance annexing certain described real property located at Hill Street. 2022-457, an ordinance authorizing execution of an annexation agreement between the City of Springfield, Illinois, and Cochran Development LLC for property located at 681 South Bradfordton Road. 2022-458, an ordinance annexing certain described real property located at 681 South Bradfordton Road.
Okay, the motion was to hold these in committee. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Mr. Redpath.
Corporation Council, the annexations on Hill Street, are these negotiated already, or is this a forced annexation?
No, these are all voluntary
Okay.
annexations. And Alderman, you may recall that we have to, under the statutes, we have to give notices to various taxing bodies and so on, give certain notice dates. And so we need to allow more time for the notice period to be active.
Thank you, that's all I need.
So if it could be held till the next committee meeting, that would be appropriate.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
2022-468, an ordinance vacating a portion of Dodge Street between Rutledge Street and First Street in Springfield, Illinois to Memorial Health System.
Move for consent.
Consent.
Motion and a second
This
for
one-
consent.
This
Yes,
has
Mr.
to be on
Zimmer.
debate because we do a public hearing for vacating.
Motion for debate.
Second.
Motion and a second for debate. Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
General City Business, 2022-459, an ordinance approving a video gaming license location change for Lake Point Grill Incorporated.
Move for consent.
Motion's for consent. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2022-460, an ordinance to increase the number of Class E liquor licenses by one for Oriental Taste Cuisine Incorporated, doing business as Oriental Taste located at 3101 South MacArthur Boulevard.
Move to consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for consent. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2022-461, an ordinance authorizing a decrease in number of Class D liquor licenses by one due to closure of business by TBMP Pizza LLC, doing business as the Rosati's, located at 2936 South 6th Street.
Move for consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for consent. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2022-462, an ordinance authorizing a decrease in the number of Class D liquor licenses by one due to closure of business by Ocean Crab House Incorporated, doing business as Ocean Crab House, located at 3101 South MacArthur Boulevard.
Move for consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for consent. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2022-464, an ordinance amending ordinance 426-12-14, establishing the Springfield Sangamon County Enterprise Zone. Enterprise Zone designation, tax abatement, and ordinance 425-12-14, authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with Sangamon County regarding the Enterprise Zone by extending the territorial boundaries to include property located at parcels 21-24.0-100-027 and 21-24.0-100-022.
Move for debate.
Second. Question.
Motion and a second for debate. Alderman Hanauer.
Yeah, is this the Mathers Gun Club Road? Does this include the whole from Cockrell Lane all the way down?
The map's on there.
Is it, I was trying to pull it up. but-
This would be the area where the proposed development was
Right,
for the senior housing project. So there are two parcels that they own that this would encompass.
Right, well, my concern is we've got another proposed development just to the east of there. Would it be prudent to do the whole thing? Because we're gonna probably have to I'm sorry. What's going to have to, I'm sure we're going to end up coming back at another time when that comes around. I just didn't know if it was better.
Probably, if you recall, the way the statutes work, we have to do public hearings and adopt ordinances.
So we
on
already did a
certain
public
dates.
hearing,
So it would be prudent to go ahead with this, but then there'd be a follow-on. There has to be an application to the state and a public
Okay.
hearing. So there's no way to amend it. If you
Okay,
hold
we'll
it, then we have to
just
do
go
a
with
public
it
hearing.
as is then.
Okay.
Yeah, the motion is for a debate agenda. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2022-465, an ordinance authorizing acceptance and execution of the 2022 Community-Oriented Policing Services COPS Grant Number 15J COPS-22-GG-04831, TECP, from the U.S. Department of Justice in the amount of $100,000 and authorizing a supplemental appropriation of $65,000 for the Springfield Police Department.
Move for consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2022-466, an ordinance authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement with the Board of Trustees of the University of Illinois on behalf of its University of Illinois at Springfield Police Department and the City of Springfield Police Department to provide law enforcement services to one another on an as-needed
Move
basis.
for consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Any unfinished business to come before the committee this evening? Seeing none, any new business? I understand Chief Scarlett has some new business, and he is on his way to the podium.
Be very efficient with my time. So Springfield Police Department's hosting two events here in the next few days. The first one is a Halloween safety event that'll take place tomorrow night on Monroe Street from 8th to 9th. We're blocking the road. It's not only the police department, but various other city departments as well. It'll be a touch of trunk or treat, that sort of thing. The time frame is 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. Parents are encouraged to bring their children out for a good time. So look forward to seeing everyone there. The second event that the city, the police department, as well as other city agencies will be hosting is the ShotSpotter Community Connections event. That'll be held this Saturday, the October 29th, from noon to 4 p.m. Essentially what that is utilizing historical data. We've identified areas of town based on, again, this crime data that need our attention the most. When I say our, I'm talking about city resources. So the police department, to include various other resources, will be flooding this area. The area is 11th to 18th, Cook to South Grand, with the goal of providing immediate assistance to the neighbors within that area, to include tree trimming, potholes, cutting grass, picking up garbage, law enforcement walk and talk, and many other great events. So it's going to be a great event. We're looking forward to it. Again, it's Saturday, October 29th, noon to 4 p.m. Home base, if you will be across from Feitchen School, 1100 block of South 15th. So encourage the neighbors in that area to come out and enjoy the good time. That's all I
Chief,
have.
thank you for those comments. You might not want to leave. I think we have a couple of alder persons that would like to ask you a question. Alderman Redpath.
Chief, could you do us all a favor at the city council? Could you inform us when you're going to have promotions and awards banquets? And I'm going to ask the fire department the same thing. I found out my son got one of the top awards this last week, and I didn't know nothing about it. I'd like to come to those events, even if my son's not getting an award, but it was something we missed, and I'd appreciate it if you'd let us all know.
Absolutely.
Alderman Gregory.
Thank you. I'm very excited to hear about this event, and I'll definitely come and participate and get the community out. And on the flip side, you do have a new officer down from another place, and we had an event at Cox Park, and he came up and he introduced himself, and I was really impressed by how he came wanting to really get to know people on his own. I don't think anybody sent him or anything. He really just stopped and came out, and I was very impressed with that, as well as our officers out playing basketball in the streets with the kids. I was really impressed to see that, and not that you haven't done that before, but I really think that has helped.
I appreciate those comments, and really what it's all about is community service, right? And these two events, as well as what Alderman Gregory described, is exactly our intention, what we're all about as a law enforcement agency. So that's certainly one of our top missions as we move forward.
Appreciate you.
Sounded like the mayor. That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
Very familiar phrasing.
Thank you, Chief. Any further new business that come before the committee this evening? Any further new business? Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to give a huge congratulations to DSI. They was honored to win the Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton Award for Excellence in Downtown Revitalization and Design for the Monroe Street Art. And I was able to attend that conference with them, and it was amazing, the feedback and the presentations that they had on revitalizing, talking about the PACE program, talking about the BID program. So there's a lot of initiatives to bring back. And then I just wanted to remind everyone that we have tomorrow the architectural walks this Wednesday at 5:30, and you'll meet in front of the Visitor Center. And this is our last one, so I encourage everyone to come out. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, any citizens' requests to address the committee this evening?
Yes, Chairman. James Johnson.
Mr. Johnson. How'd the Patriots do on this week?
Ooh, that lightens some mode. James Johnson, don't bet on the Patriots. Don't bet against Chicago. We didn't do very good. Man, I don't even know where I really want to start. Man, it's just been so much tonight. And you guys know I come up here because I care about the community too. And Ralph, I'm going to keep coming up here. Chairman, I'm going to keep coming up here until, things move and change. I don't want to be here every Tuesday, but there's some issues. Just like these people that was right here, the community, when they have to come out, they're going to come out. But my community, they don't want to come out and speak as much because they're afraid, And God put certain people in places that's going to stand up and push for what's right. And after hearing and sitting through this whole meeting, and I didn't sit through the last one, but
look at you.
Yeah, the best advice I could say is, man, we need to pray. As leaders of the community, we really have to take in consideration of everybody. And I understand how hard your positions can be, but I do want to say this because there is something that I'm going to push in my last 3 minutes. And that is, everybody up here represents a ward, but mainly you represent the city too. And I say that because, and I'm gonna go over here to the chairperson because I know the rules, so I'm gonna try to abide by the rules. So there was a conversation with a citizen from an alderman in Ward 3 that was very disrespectful. Very. And all I'm gonna ask is that he apologize, because it not just affected that person, but it's gonna affect everybody that he was referring to. And as leaders of this community, you might not like everything that goes on, but you got to be respectful in these seats, Sometimes you can have a right point and just deliver it the wrong way. I agree. We've been there, and sometimes it get heated. And last week was a long meeting. And I want to say 8, 9, and 10, I appreciate you guys being understanding and following the rules. There's protocols, there's rules, there's things that's been set in place, and you guys really tried to follow it. And a lot of us respect that and support that. We all want the best for our community, but there's still certain protocols we have to do, steps we have to take to get there. And I'm going to say this about building over in the community of Ward 3 housing development. What'd you say, Mayor? The worst crime area or whatever? But here's the thing. We can build it, and you can put people back in there. And if you don't give them no jobs to help sustain it and make decent money and keep it up, in 20 years, this whole horseshoe is going to be dealing with the same issue because it's going to be tore back up. So that's why I really pushing. Let's not forget about the least. All our communities. And I'm pushing for these females on our police and fire department. Mayor, our fire chief needs to be in here and listening and see the people. Yeah. Oh, he finally showed up? Okay, good. Because he wasn't here when I was sitting back there, and I've been sitting here since 5:30. But yes, we're going to keep pushing. And I know it's not just you. You know, you're like the messengers. But I'm going to keep pushing this message until we start seeing change, because I believe that there are people out here who really want to work and just need an opportunity, and then we have some who don't want to work. I got a chance because of a man that was sitting right there in that seat. And he went out of his way and gave me an opportunity, and that changed my life. So I'm going to throw that stick back, and I'm going to push and fight for whoever else really wants to work, union, police department, fire department, or whatever. So I thank you guys. In my last 15 seconds, you got a tough job. I'm going to tell you now, tighten up your shoes, because it's about to get rocky. I'm just being honest. It's going to get rocky. Tighten up your shoes, get on your knees, let's pray, and let's hopefully we can get through this peacefully. Thank you.
Alderman Williams.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Well, before,
Well, there- we still have
time out.
speakers.
We have per the Illinois Open Meetings Act and our rules, we have individuals that have signed up. So, Mr. Clerk, who else signed up to speak?
Good try, Roy. Good try, man.
Ann Pastrovich.
Miss Ann?
I'll keep this short and sweet because I know everybody wants to go home.
Please say your name and address, please.
Okay,
We're
my
comfortable
name
with
is
your
Ann
address.
Pastrovich, and I live out in the 8th Ward, and Aaron Conley is my alderman. I lived in Springfield for 20 years. I'm a very active person in the community. I'm a Southeast Spartan all the way. I sponsor the kids as much as I can and do things for them. But I became aware of something this summer that I was not didn't understand. Through the pandemic, we did a lot of things. We weren't allowed to pay bills online. We had to go to online, a lot of that. And I do have a graphic arts degree, so I'm pretty friendly with the computer. But I have about 10 bills that I pay online. And I finally, about July, decided CWL would be the next one to be paid online. I got it paid in June, and in July, I paid it. And mid-July, almost at the end of the July, I got a letter from the Public Works with no phone number, just initials of a lady, and I was put on hold because I hit a wrong number on mine. It wasn't insufficient funds, but it was a routing number. So I had to go through 3 days of getting my money. They would take my money and accept it at the city hall. And the last couple of times I've been real careful with someone going through numbers, because all the other online people have everything pre-programmed and it's there and you just hit go and go. So I had 2 months of CWLP paying okay. Then I got a letter Monday that said I must have hit the wrong numbers. I wasn't insufficient funds. It was zero, just a mistake. But this mistake cost me a whole year of paying online. I had to have either currency or certified check, money order, credit, or debit card. And when I asked where they could trace it to see what I was doing wrong on my computer, it was no help. I got very little help downstairs. The young gal who I talked to the first time was the second girl. It was the same girl I talked to the second time. Not very helpful. I went through my bank, and my bank reassured me that there was a better way to do my onlining through the bank, so I'm going to do all that. But I want to say, I'm very fortunate. I was raised by parents who went through the Depression. My grandfather was a barter, and he made his money during the Depression by finding people who needed things and people who had those things. So I have a work ethic. So I always made sure my bills were paid and taken care of. And I work with school-age kids, and I try and work with them and understand that someday they're going to have to be taking care of themselves too. My concern is at CWLP, you are using a system that's a third party. You have to pay to use it. And they told me, I paid it on the 13th. I didn't find out till yesterday that it didn't go through. And I feel sorry for anybody else that's in that position. I'm capable of moving on. I don't mind paying my money through the drive-through or a check, but I will not ever pay if my bill is $17.21. I usually would roll it over to about $30, $40 just to have extra money. I will not give that to the city anymore because of what the young lady and how her department downstairs handled me. And it was a rough go back in June, and it was a rough go in the last 2 days. So, and she assured me that their telephone number would be on the letters from now on. And I told her, I said, you should be proud of yourself. When you sign something, a letter, don't use initials. She used 2 S's for Sarah Sherwood, and then her name was typed below. But I think as a professional and working for the cities, it should be changed. Other than that, go Illini.
Could I clarify, ma'am, was it with CWLP or Public Works that you were having?
WLP.
It's the Office of Public Utilities.
Okay, that's not Public Works, that's CWLP.
Okay, well, it was a CWLP bill.
That's okay, I just wanted to clarify
Yeah,
that.
and I'm not angry or anything, but you're a little behind schedule.
Ms. Prestovich, thank you very much for
Okay.
coming and voicing your concerns. Before you go, there's a gentleman off to my left here, Doug Brown. He's the head of the utility. I encourage you to at least have a follow-up conversation with him. Thanks for coming down. Mr. Clerk, anybody else sign up to speak?
Alice Ramey.
Miss Alice, are you interested in coming up?
Talking or you walking?
First off, I want to say that there have been a lot of discussion about gambling, okay? And you're talking to one that was a professional gambler for 10 years, all right? Back and forth to Vegas, down to Florida, Atlantic City. That's where I went because I like card games. And I like to shoot craps, too. My dad taught me at 10th and a half Street, okay? Oh, you sat back in your seat, huh? Yeah. You know, just because I wear cowboy boots doesn't mean I don't know how to shoot craps, okay? But I want to talk about something else. I picked up a homeless girl today in the pouring down rain. I asked her if she wanted to go to the shelter. She said they will not help her at the shelter. I don't know what the rules are because I don't think I was here when you discussed them opening up the shelter. But is there a rule that you can't help them to get their identity, their driver's license or ID or anything because it's against the fire or something code? I got this from 3 people, and I got another one from another person that I picked up because I hate to see somebody walk if they're trying to get somewhere with groceries and stuff like that. I'm not that hard-hearted yet. Anyway, I just like to know. I didn't know how they're supposed to be set up or anything, but a lot of people will sit on the ground and not even go in. Is there a reason for that? And it really is disturbing, you know? And why is there just 40 beds instead of the whole place in working, instead of just 1/4 of it? This is something that's been on my mind. I haven't been down there yet, Chairman, to look and see what's going on. I haven't been down there yet. But I am going to go because it is really disturbing to see that. You guys paid a lot of money to get it. You got people that were supposed to work in it for public health and stuff like that. I don't know, I just like to know what's going on. The other thing I want to talk about is the fact that I understand mom and pop stores, okay? I understand it very well. I understand that this council didn't put a lid on the gambling casinos, okay, the gambling. I go to them, I hear a lot of people said they would like to go and play cards, you know, whether it's Jim Rummer, 21, Texas Hold'em, 7-card stud, whatever, okay? It's something that I used to take the bus and go up to Peoria, just like you said, because they did have it. And they had tournaments. You know, they had that. I was in one of them up in Vegas at the Horseshoe. And they're fun, but they're expensive, but they're fun. And it's the idea that we cannot be stagnated. We want our city to grow. We want them to grow and be proud to come here each and every day. I was listening to the guy about the hotel downtown. Wherever that man came from and bought it, he needs to go back because he has no common sense, okay? I think that that hotel can make a lot of money. It made a lot of money in its heyday because I worked there, and I know what it's like. I've been in the room since it's been in this way for a convention, which I was very, very, very upset. And the rooms are nice, but they're not taken care of. We need to get on the ball, pull up our bootstraps, and start taking care of this city. And that means get people down here that want to work, get people to have businesses down here, help them get the people to work, show them how we can do that, help them get started. We used to have a jazz place over there in the Union thing. I mean, it was fun. I think you remember that. You know, we don't have that anymore. We don't even have that going on. And we don't have anything that we can have at night for people to go to besides walking the streets, okay? Let's get going, because this is a beautiful city. It's made a lot of money for me and for everybody here, and I don't want to see it destroyed. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
And you don't know when you're going to get the license, so why are you holding it up?
Thank you for your comments. Mr. Clerk, any further citizens' requests to address the committee in writing?
No one else has addressed in
Okay,
writing.
Mr. Clerk, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion and a second for adjourn. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Everybody have a wonderful evening. Thank you for the conversation.
You know what? It's your fault. Can't say it out loud. Can't say it out loud.